Hi,
17.
number 17. We got the last one wrong, but we're back on track.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, Nicole, what's happening on in your life? I feel like we've got quite a bit to speak about. We touched on a shitload last week, in a good
Yes.
way, a lot.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did have an update for you
Okay.
um, on the honey bit, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So, last time we spoke, I was like, I think 2 days in to using raw, unfiltered honey from my local area.
Mm-hmm.
In order to help combat my allergies that I was having. I was having really bad allergies from the cottonwood trees here that I am not used to. And I will tell you, it's now been like 2.5 weeks, I think, and my allergies are better. Like I don't have the same pain that I was having, like in my sinuses, like the postnasal drip I was having, like so it it worked.
Nice.
I was talking to a friend of mine and I couldn't find a study to pull up. And I just wanted to like clarify something that like sometimes these things can feel super anecdotal, but like if you are someone that suffers with allergies and you're kind of at your wits end, you don't want to take Claritin, a lot of those different drugs actually are linked to like depression and other like issues. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to stay away from those. Um, Try raw, unfiltered honey from your local area. Has to
Mm-hmm.
be local, has to be raw and unfiltered. And there's something about that that will like help to like process the different allergens in your area from
Mm-hmm.
like the bee pollen or the bees doing. I don't know. I couldn't find the study like from what like years ago I had tried this, but it's working. So I'm on board with honey
Nice.
for allergies only.
So just to remind people, so you found basically what happened is you were having these tree allergies, and then you saw somebody on Instagram that was speaking about honey, or was this just?
No, so in the past I had done this. In the
Okay, okay,
past I had bad allergies at one point, and it was
mm,
I think because of a certain wind. There's Santa Ana winds
mm-hmm,
that come through Southern California, and sometimes they're bad and sometimes they're not. And one year it was really bad, and there was a lot of stuff from fire and stuff too.
mm-hmm.
And God, I was at like some holistic market back in God, like 2009 or
Those are the
something.
days.
Yeah, those are the days when everyone was like, "Ooh, everyone walking into that store is a hippie,"
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And everyone has like their like Crocs on or their sand like their special sandals, you know. And I remember like someone was telling me about this, and it was something I read something, but this was back in 2009. So this was and I've never had really bad allergies since. So moving here with the trees that we don't have in California, that was like the big change. So
Mm.
it's literally something from like 10 years, 10 plus years ago that I like just remembered that I can do.
Nice. I
Yeah.
I used to have honey quite a bit, if I remember, like back in when I was living in Cape Town, because I think I definitely had a reaction to the local like shrubbery bush type thing in
Hmm.
South Africa and in the Western Cape especially. It's called fynbos. So I don't know if you've ever drank like rooibos tea. It's a very famous. You probably call it
Yes.
rooibos tea or
Yes.
something.
We don't say it the way you do,
Yeah, so
but
it's
yeah.
rooibos is translated red bush tea, and I used to have the local rooibos honey, and kind of if I think about it, I think I actually used to sleep pretty well. Like if I think about it, I just struggle now. I just struggle to really.
Yeah.
I think I was like you. I just struggle to eat honey now. Like it's just so sweet for me. I really struggle. But so you putting it in your coffee, right? Is that how you
Yes.
having it? Okay.
I do the bulletproof coffee. And by the way, I do drink raw milk still,
Nice.
which pregnant people are probably like, ah, but I was kind of like weighing some things and I'm like, well, I want the nutrients from the raw milk, so I'm
Mm,
gonna keep
mm.
drinking it. But I put like the butter in, Kerrygold, still eat Kerrygold. And then I put the
So do
honey in.
I.
Yeah, I put the honey in. And then I put like some coffee, and it's literally like this is like how much coffee I drink. It's actually really funny. So it's
Oh
like
my
not even
gosh.
like coffee. It's like a concoction that has some coffee in it.
Yeah.
And then I just put the raw cream in, and then I just like use my little frother thing, and
Nice.
it's like the best, because I couldn't have it for a little bit because I was so nauseous in the morning. But
Yeah.
now I'm like kind of chilling
It's
more,
like
a little better. Yeah.
it's like a micro you like microdosing coffee basically. It sounds like it.
I'm basically on psychedelics
Yeah.
with my coffee
With
in
coffee.
the morning. Yeah, like that's my psychedelic. But I also wanted to tell you, so like people like try the honey thing if you're desperate and you have really bad allergies. But also, Josh, you and I are like connected in a weird way. Not a weird way, I should say, but we're connected in a way that we love working out
Hmm.
and we love the outdoors
Hmm.
and we love the sun. Like if you get all three of those together,
Hmm.
it's like the best day ever.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
I saw you doing pull-ups like in the sun on like this random trail in Amsterdam, I think.
Yeah.
But how did you feel during and after?
Well, yeah, firstly, it was kind of strange because I finished CrossFit in the morning, and to update like people, it's been super super humid and hot here in Europe, like heat wave type vibe coming through here, which is, I mean, I love it. Some of the Europeans don't. It's just a little bit too hot, I think, for a lot of people. But I finished CrossFit and I was just riding my bicycle back home, and it was one of those moments where I was riding and I looked to my left and there was just this like open park with this pull-up bar and the sun was shining directly on the park, and I was like, oh my word, this is a sign. Like this is a
Yeah.
sign from the universe. So I turned my bike around in like some movie type fashion, and I drove and I went straight into the park. I took my shirt off, and basically I mean I wasn't doing pull-ups. What I was doing, and I posted this on my Instagram,
Oh, dead man hang. Dead
dead
hangs.
hangs, yes.
Okay. Dead
So
man hangs.
dead man hangs, whatever you want to call it. But basically, um, especially after CrossFit, where you're doing lots of pull-ups, a lot of movements with your lats and your shoulders, you essentially just hanging from a bar. So that's all you do. You just hang from a bar, and you basically get two types of positions. You get an active position and a passive position. So active is like where you flexing your shoulder blades and your shoulders so that you're in like a straight position, and then a passive is just like literally just letting your whole body just hang. And
Hmm.
I think that's, I believe that's one of the most underrated like stretches you can do on a daily basis, especially if you're sitting behind a desk hunched over all day. There's actually studies done that it shows that it completely restructures your shoulder joints. So if you have shoulder issues or any type of like postural issues, which I would say it just like diet, like 90% of the people have, hanging from a bar solves a lot of that. And it has a very therapeutic effect on releasing your lower back and your spine and
Hmm.
just
Oh, I
lengthening.
was going to tell you, I had to do
Yeah,
these for my back because I have two discs that rub together. So
there you
I've
go.
had to do these since I was like 15 years old. And it's well, it just because if you're hanging, right, like gravity is kind of pulling your
Yeah,
body and stretching it like an accordion,
yeah,
right? Because all day the accordion's like this. And if
exactly.
you're doing
That's a
weights, it's
great,
like an accordion, right?
yeah.
So if you're doing weightlifting, like you're doing
Mm,
CrossFit, right? You're kind of like crunching the
mm,
accordion, right? You're putting extra weight on your
mm,
body, and you're sitting in chairs, working all that.
mm.
So it's like the accordion's being like, oh, like,
100%.
taking that. It's the things that Joe Rogan has, the back board where they flip over.
Yes, yes,
It's kind of
yes.
like, well, you're hanging by your hands, and the other one, it's
Mm.
like holding your feet. So it's like, it's just a way to stretch out the body that's not
Yeah.
inversion board. You don't have to buy like a
And
$2,000 inversion board.
if you get really adventurous, you can do so like at CrossFit I hook my legs in like the bars have like three sort of poles running parallel to each other at the top, and I sort of
Mhm.
hook my legs in like a bit of a monkey, and I hang upside down, which I wouldn't recommend if you're not
I
like
was like,
used to.
you seem too gnarly.
Yeah,
It's like
but
that's
but
yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, if you have like
yeah.
low back pain and stuff, it's phenomenal. And I mean, not to get too like paleoethic on people right now, but if you think about it, like if we were like ascended from monkeys, like what do monkeys do all the time? They're hanging from branches, they're hanging, their arms are like up, they loose, they're not stagnant. And I think too many people are just living a very stagnant life, and it's not natural. Like kids, if you look at a kid, like a kid's basic urges. Okay, maybe it's had too much sugar, which is probably the case, but a kid's basic urges is to get up and just do shit, like walk around, explore, in a squat position, go and hang from shit. Like that's what a kid wants to do. I feel like as adults we can learn from that. I feel like if we do more shit like that, we are more likely to be like not in the sedentary like disease state that we that we that we have today. It's like, so we can learn so much from kids in that sense, and I guess movement is just so foundational to being a kid and growing up, and we just lose it so quickly.
I think what you're saying is kind of like back to basics, right? Like a lot of what we do, like trying to use less technology, trying to just be in the moment, trying to hang like a monkey, because that's what, where we come from. It's like everything is just back to basics, right? Back to the
Mm,
foundation that like gives us life and helps us to move and
mm,
like be the best, that we can. And it's kind of crazy, but like it's not like the outdoor. So going back to like the outdoor workout, right? Like, did you feel though like pretty awesome, like being in the sun and kind of just like feeling it on your body? Like, did that, I mean, afterwards, like, were you like just kind of like over the moon about it, would you say?
I I would say, I think I would answer that like when I saw it's going back to this whole sort of philosophy that I'm trying to live out now, which is like listening to the wisdom of my body. And like when I was riding my bicycle and I saw that sun, like my urge was to stop whatever I was doing and just go sit in the sun. So, yes, like to answer your question, I feel great because I'm trying to honor the urges that my body has. So, when you sit in the sun, when you want to go do something, I think you need to go do it. Like if
Yeah.
you're sitting inside on the computer and you look out in the window and you have this sudden urge to be like, shit, I should be out there in the sun. Try get up and just go do it. Like just go sit in the sun because that's your body probably telling you that you need the sun. And I feel like I've had enough sun over the past 2 days that my body's like pretty happy now. I feel like if
Mhm.
today's actually a pretty shitty day to be honest, but if today was a sunny day, I don't think I would actually be outside right now. I think I would actually know, okay, cool. I feel like my body's had enough sun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there's that you just gotta listen to your body, and that goes with everything like cold showers, hot therapy, saunas, exercise, everything. Like people people have assumed that technology is going to do everything for you, and then you forget, like you said, you forget that you have this ability in you to know. It's like sometimes you shouldn't go do a sauna, like even though it's good for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
sometimes it's going to be a stress on your body. Or like a cold shower when you are, I don't know, when you're not feeling great or you freaked out or something. Don't go and force yourself to go do something that's a bit crazy, like
Yeah.
just listen to what's going on. And I think that helps a lot. So that's a long way of answering your question. But yes, I felt great. I really did. I, I, I actually, I did that workout in the morning when I was doing the dead hangs, the stretch. And in the afternoon, I literally just sat on the bench outside my apartment, like with my shirt off, listening to music for like 2 hours in the sun, just baking.
That's so literally
Oh,
like
so
you
good.
have no idea. So like I just want
So
to let people
good.
know like the sun is so powerful, and like I'm
Mm.
constantly just on social media being like, get in the sun, get in the sun, oh sun, like, and the thing is that like I say that and I've had people tell me that like they do that and they feel so much better because they did that and they try to
Mm.
incorporate it more. Like it's kind of like this little super, it's like a super vitamin. It is like it's a superfood.
100%.
But when
Yeah.
I like for my routine, like now I walk the dogs,
Hmm.
I get up, I walk the dogs, I fight any urges to be nauseous, I make whatever like carb thing I'm trying to make. I make my bulletproof coffee. And then
Mm-hmm.
I literally go and enjoy my coffee outside because the sun comes in from the east, and it literally just hits like our outdoor like patio area,
Ooh,
and I'm
lovely.
just like, hello. And then I have my coffee and I kind of relax, and then I actually just do my outdoor workout, and I face away from the sun, and
Yeah.
I wear shorts and like a sports bra because my backside, it's really hard when you're pregnant to lay on your stomach to tan your backside.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
working on it. So I face that way, but it's just like I have these incredible workouts that are in the sun, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's one thing to work out in the morning, right? Because that I couldn't do that for a while. I feel like it's so rewarding and it feels really good. When you add the outdoor and no shoes factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in the grass, your feet are like digging in, you're touching, you're grounding. And then when you add the sun, it's like a drug. Like it's literally like it's like all these endorphins and all this serotonin is like being
Mm.
released, and I'm just having like a blast at like 9:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
like by myself with the dogs.
Uh,
So for me, it's amazing.
yeah. I want to get back onto. I want to hear about your update with the carbs, and then,
Oh God.
but before we get there, basically, just to give people context, the morning sun, the reason why the morning sun is the most optimal time to be out in the sun. Like, according to science and like Andrew Huberman from the Huberman, I heard him speaking about it, but it makes sense. So, the morning sunlight,
Mhm.
if you can get morning sunlight every day on your skin and in your eyes, that resets your circadian rhythm, it lowers your cortisol, it has the least UV rays. So, even though we're not wearing sunscreen and stuff, obviously you don't want to stay out in the sun to the point where you're baking yourself to crisp every day. That's probably not going to be beneficial. But the morning sunlight has the least amount of UV rays, so it's going to be more beneficial to expose your whole body to that ray of light in the morning, especially.
Yeah.
So the afternoon sun is good as well, but I would say if you can get the morning sunlight, that's
Yeah.
just so optimal.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
And you feel like I feel the difference on the days
yeah,
that I don't, like there's no sun. Like today was kind of crappy and there's no sun. And I was just kind of like, like this
yeah.
isn't, I wanted to have my coffee outside, It's like, am I moving to Florida? I don't know. But no, I'm just kidding. But I will say the thing too is like people always give me crap about sunscreen.
Mm.
Like even my OB was like, oh, you're pretty tan. Like, do you wear sunscreen? And I'm like, totally, like for sure, But the
Layer
thing
that
is,
shit
is
on.
that well, the thing is, like, like, I'm in controlled settings of the sun. Like, I do have a mineral, like, non-toxic sunscreen. So the
Mm,
only time that I will ever wear this mineral face sunscreen that's super non-toxic, all natural, whatever, is when I know that I'm gonna have my face exposed for extended period of time in the sun without having a hat or shade, which
mhm.
again, like is not really often, like, because usually I'm on a hike, I'm wearing a hat or like something to cover my face, like, do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like it's very rare that I guess it would be like going to Coachella and not wearing a hat because I don't want to mess up my hair or something and I'm
Mm,
in the sun 24/7. But it's just like if you're having those little 30-minute like interactions doing a workout outside or whatever, like you don't need to like lather up, like
mm,
sun's not going to get you. But wait, one thing I wanted to, before we transition, one thing I wanted to mention to you, I don't know if you're the same, and I don't know if this has to do with weight loss as well, but you were talking about the humidity in Europe. And I wanted
mm,
to bring something to your attention that once I was like a year into carnivore, I used to not be able to handle heat or handle the sun well. Like
mm.
either one, I would get very agitated, very irritated. And I was like a vampire. I wanted to just avoid it. And so something, yeah,
That's
something
strange.
clicked. Yeah, like something clicked though, where I realized, like going on different trips to different places, like I actually really like didn't mind humidity anymore. I didn't
Mm.
feel like it was like irritating me. And I just wanted to know if you had a similar experience or if that maybe was losing 25 pounds and not feeling too hot all the time or something. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean?
That's interesting. Yeah, I can't say that I've ever felt that way about the sun, but I do I do know that I feel your body temperature rise, like, meat sweats is like a real thing. Like, your body temperature rises rapidly when you eat like a lot of meat. I certainly find if I've had a big meal in the evening,
Wait,
I
that's
get
never happened to me, I feel
I
like.
get so, like, I have the meat sweats. Like, literally my body just starts to,
Really?
yeah. Like,
Oh
it's a
God.
real thing. Maybe it's a guy like hormonal thing, like
Yeah.
all that red meat going into you. That's actually probably something to we'll look into that. I'll look into that
Yeah.
and get back to you. But that's interesting. I mean, I, I think I've just always just loved the sun way too much to not want to go in it, I guess. Like,
What about burning and not burning then? Because that is a big argument that people say once you cut out the vegetable oils and it's
yeah.
not sticking to your cells. I've noticed that I don't burn as easy
Mm.
either. Do you
I My
notice?
color, to be honest with you, my color doesn't change when I go carnivore. I stay. Even I had coffee with a friend. Not yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we went to some cool farm place in Amsterdam.
Looked so awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, just so you guys know, there's like goats and
pigs
like
and wild
chickens. Oh
pigs,
my
and
gosh.
we just had. I said to her, I've been in the sun for 3 days straight, like a good amount of time, like at least 4 hours a day, and my skin maybe looks like a little bit browner, but usually like Fat Josh would burn to a crisp after an hour in the heat.
Yeah.
And I've noticed previously when I've had like a really bad cheat day, this was like back in South Africa, I'd have like a, I don't know, croissant and some other shit with seed oils in. I would burn that day. That's the only time I'd
Yeah.
ever burn. So just N equals one. Obviously, this is not science, but there's no doubt about it. When I eat like shit, I burn easier, and if I don't burn, and I don't get like pimples or
Yeah.
acne or whatever. So it's very interesting. It really is interesting to see how much food affects pretty much everything. Because people think it's the sun, but it's not. It's probably your shitty diet
Yeah. It's
that's
what you're
causing.
putting, it sticks to your cells. Like the food, especially the vegetable oils,
Mm,
like they're so inflammatory and they actually
mm.
stick to your cells, like your skin cells too.
Hey.
So I think that's like why it's like refractoring the light and then it's actually
Mm,
like getting you to burn. So I do think there's a correlation between burning and seed oils, like for sure.
mm,
Because I've
mm.
experienced it, but also like my tolerance for the sun and my tolerance for, heat has just we'll look into that.
Yes,
We'll look into that.
we'll update you with that.
Yeah.
So,
But sorry, I want to talk about
what
that for a second.
what's
Yeah.
your yeah? So the carb experiment, how's it going? Because I saw you post, was it yesterday or today, that you had a bit of
Yesterday.
you had a young little throw up, a little, what we call a TC, a tactical chanda.
That's actually real. I've never heard that, which is hilarious.
It's a
Um,
drinking term. It's when
oh, okay.
when you force yourself to throw up at a party so that you can carry on drinking. It's called a TC.
Okay. I've definitely
Anyway,
had that
story for
before in the
another
past.
day. But
That remind me of like my college
tell me
days.
about your unintended TC. Maybe we can
Okay.
dive into it.
Yeah. So here's the thing is like I've kind of just consistently had the morning sickness. And
Mm,
I'm sure you saw the other story where I had a guy basically reaching out to me, telling me not to stuff my face with carbs, and literally just like kept sending me all this stuff, being like, well, these two carnivore doctors, say that you should just fast for 24 to 48 hours to reset your hormones. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. There's no hormones to reset. And also, I'm not doing an extended fast while I'm pregnant. And also, if you know me, Josh, I would never even do an extended fast if I wasn't
mm,
pregnant because I don't like fasting.
mm,
Like, I'm not about it. And so that's kind of like what had started this whole like discussion about it because I feel like I needed to talk about it.
mm,
Um, so like for me, it's either like I'm having like a really small piece of like gluten-free toast or like a gluten-free bagel or something, right? And usually I'll put like lox on it and cream cheese and capers. And that's what tastes really good. I'll put a bunch of like lemon pepper, for example, on it.
mm,
And that works for me. And sometimes it's to the point where I literally can just eat like some of these like really, I try to get like super organic crackers that are
mm.
like You know what I mean? Like no shitty ingredients, no vegetable oils. It's really hard to find those. There's like one brand. And I'll eat some of those when it's like really bad. But up until recently, I haven't been able to do the bulletproof coffee. So I haven't had any coffee in the mornings. And then finally I was able to do that. And so what happened was 2 days ago, on it was like my first day that I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try to eat sausage, like breakfast sausage in my coffee. And I'm going to see if that works. Like I want to at least try.
Mm.
And if I throw up, like whatever, I can handle it. And so I did it that day and it worked. Like I didn't have to eat carbs in the morning and I was so proud of myself. And I was like, oh, like I'm back to normal, baby. Like, let's go. And so I tried it again yesterday and I did the same exact thing, you know, like, and these are also followed by workouts outside in the sun, which like gives me so much joy. And, here's the other thing. Like this will be another topic, but Taylor has COVID. So I've been on like a very strict regimen of vitamins in order to combat that. So after I ate my sausage and I had my bulletproof coffee, I did my workout and then I came in and I took about 15 supplements. Okay.
Jeepers.
Well, one of them is liver, like the beef organs, and that's like
Yes.
6 pills, you know, so it's like kind of a lot.
Yes.
But anyway, so then right after I did that, I like look at Taylor and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. I think I just drank too much water. Like oh my, like, cause it was like 2 hours had passed since I ate the sausage and the bulletproof coffee. So I was
So I
like,
wonder, I mean, so do you think it is the protein or do you think it's the
no,
supplements?
it was the supplements for sure.
Okay.
I
Okay.
literally went upstairs. I threw up 7 times in a row, 7 times in a row. And it was like, I saw all the supplements come out. I saw everything basically I'd eaten for like the
Oh my
past 24
gosh.
hours.
No.
And I was just like, but after I threw up, I kind of chilled in bed for a little bit and then I was fine. So
Mm.
when that happens, I know it's the supplement because it got out of my body.
Mm.
So in my eyes, I just took the supplements too early. Like I took the vitamins too early.
Mm.
Sometimes they can have like an effect on you. And I actually was talking to other pregnant women and they said, hey, the only time I threw up during my entire pregnancy was because I took vitamins without having enough in my stomach,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? So, yeah. So now I'm like waiting to take mine today
And
until I
have
find.
um, updates on have you tried that magnesium, the new magnesium yet
Yeah.
or
So
and
I really like it.
so just to
I,
give people context, if you haven't listened before, so we spoke last week about, or the last episode rather, which was 2 weeks ago, because this will be released this week. We spoke about you taking some weird magnesium supplements that was probably like magnesium citrate or something, or
correct. I was taking a
yeah,
magnesium citrate supplement.
yeah. And then I suggested that maybe Nicole should look into taking the
Wait. And by
glycinate.
the way, the reason we brought this up was I had told Josh I was sleeping really bad.
Mm,
Like
mm,
since I had started taking this supplement, we kind of
mm.
we connected the dots. So
Yeah,
then you said take the magnesium chelate.
glycinate.
Oh
But
shoot.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same thing as the chelated magnesium. But
Yes.
basically,
Okay.
what the glycinate is it's an amino acid, so it doesn't require your stomach acid to be absorbed. So that's when people have heartburn and things like that, because when you have the
Yeah.
magnesium, your stomach acid is trying to absorb it, and it just can't because you don't. So wait, I want to get onto this magnesium, but just to let people know is that stomach acid is fundamental to your healing journey as a carnivore or anybody. And people don't realize it's not a case like when you have heartburn, it's not that you're having too much stomach acid, it's actually because you have too little. So your hormones in your body doesn't have enough stomach acid to break down whatever you're eating, whatever you're feeding it. So that's why it's so important to have the correct amount of stomach acid. And then something like this magnesium glycinate can actually help that because it can help digest food and initiate stomach acid without interfering too much with with basically all the chemicals that stomach acid has, which is, I mean, a lot. But anyway, so have you started taking it, and what are your thoughts? I mean, I'd be interested to hear. Maybe too
Yeah.
early, but Yeah.
No, it's fine. I threw away the magnesium citrate. So if you have a magnesium supplement and it says magnesium citrate, that's a bunch of citric acid and it's actually going to upset your stomach and it also will affect how you sleep. And that's what
I
was
mean, it
happening to
could.
me.
It might not
Yeah,
happen to
yeah,
everyone, but like, yeah, it could. It could. Yeah.
yeah. And that was kind of the case with me. And I was taking magnesium because with pregnancy, your digestion
Mm.
really slows down and takes a toll. And magnesium can really help with that and help with the sleep that I was missing, even though I didn't realize it was from that magnesium supplement. So, anyways, I will link which one I use. And I take 1 or 2 a day. Like the recommended dose is like 2
Mm.
per day. So I take 1 in the morning and I take 1 in the evening. My sleep has like come back to what it was. Thank
Nice.
God. Okay, number 1, thank God. Number 2, I don't know if this is because I've reintroduced having the bulletproof coffee, but my bowel movements are more normal. Okay. Like
Mm.
I'm upping, it almost feels like I've like upped fiber or
Mm.
something.
Could be the
So
magnesium
that
as
helps.
well. It could be that.
It could be
Yeah,
that,
or
but
the
I also
combination. Yeah.
introduced organic inulin. So organic inulin
Mm.
is basically it's like comes from coconuts and it's basically a fiber. So I put like you literally put a teaspoon like in your bulletproof coffee.
Hmm.
And again, like I would never do this if my digestion wasn't slowed down. But like, holy shit, when you're pregnant, like something's got to give, like
Hmm.
something and you're eating carbs and you're not really eating as much plants, like something has to happen. So that's probably helped as well with my digestion. But I just feel like you have no idea how much better I feel with sleep because I was
Nice.
not, that was like the biggest thing. I was not getting it.
Mm.
But now I'm pooping normal and I'm sleeping normal. So I feel like a better person.
What more could you want as a human? Honestly, if you
Oh,
can get that right, I mean, you golden. Absolutely. So and I mean, magnesium is interesting. I mean, it's obviously hailed as this like amazing magical thing, which I mean, I've got my doubts about a lot of the things people say, but it definitely has an extremely calming effect on me. I feel a lot calmer. I'm under a lot of pressure at work and things like that, but I feel, even though there's that pressure, I just feel like something is different, and I can only pin it on the magnesium at the moment. I really can, and it helps with protein synthesis and absorption of fat. So because we're eating so much fat and protein, and your body probably takes a long time to heal. I mean, but because you're eating that much fat and protein, it makes sense to just supplement with something that can maybe help that fat and protein be absorbed, optimally. And we speak about the sun always, like the magnesium, vitamin D requires magnesium for synthesis. So if you don't have enough magnesium, you can be getting all the sunlight you want, but it might not be synthesizing because it relates to calcium as well. So everything links up, obviously, but
oh yeah.
magnesium and calcium interplay with each other. So yeah, it can
Well, I was
cause a
gonna
lot
tell
of
you when I had my vitamin levels done, the funny thing was that my calcium was super high
high. Yeah,
and my magnesium was just
yeah,
below the threshold.
yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, I need to up that was part of the reason why I introduced magnesium as
Mm,
well. But I was like, oh, okay, I need this. But the funny thing that you say that is that you feel better or just more calm is because there are studies out there where they've put people on like amounts of magnesium, I think 400 to 500 milligrams a day.
hmm.
And these are depressed people and it had cured their depression. I think through like a 2-month trial or something. I'll see if I can link that in the show
Wow.
notes. But it does have an effect. Like
Mm,
I literally like for people that I know that kind of struggle with depression in my life, I'm so tempted to like send a box of magnesium like to their house and be
mm,
like, hey, I don't think that this might not be all the answers, right? But like this may be one thing that helps because the
mm,
calming and just kind of like I don't know, it's something to do with like like what you say, they're all connected, right? Like the sun,
mm,
magnesium, calcium, like they're all connected. And if one's off, then chances are like the other ones aren't behaving in the way that they want to. It's kind of like, hey, like you need to have K2 in order to be able to
mm,
digest D3,
mm.
right? Like if you don't have that, then it's not going to absorb as much or something, whatever. But
Yeah.
That was interesting. So the magnesium, I feel like something's connecting more with my
Mm,
body since I've taken it. But also, Josh, you have to remember, like when you're female, um, when you're not pregnant, you're going through a period cycle. And it is just like, it's literally like this. Like, I think one doctor, Patrick Flynn, I think, I was listening on a podcast and he explained it perfectly that literally, like, you are dating 4 different women. Like I swear to God. And like, this is like literally so true. I was listening to this with Taylor and talking all about hormones and stuff. Cause like, it's like 1 week you're this, 1 week you're this, 1 week you're this, 1 week you're this. And it's like, it's literally so true because you're going through this like cycle,
mm,
right? And you're just having these different amounts of hormones. And so it's not that you can't control that. Usually with carnivore, I can kind of mitigate my mood changes a lot better, but
mm.
it's still, it's like it's almost like you're a different person each week as a woman. And so when you're pregnant though, I'm like a dude. I'm literally like this.
Just the
Like
same.
I scare Taylor sometimes because I don't react to things as much as I did. Like I'm like a steady, like I don't know what it is, but it's
Mm,
because I don't have those hormones going through. I just have the one hormone that's just literally like, I'm so fucking calm, Josh.
mm.
Like, it's almost scary. Like
It
Taylor's like, kind of like, what?
must be like a survival, some sort of survival thing, like
No,
to make sure
it's the
that, yeah,
hormones. Yeah.
yeah, but just to make sure that you protecting your baby, I think, at all
Oh,
costs. Like you just got to be on alert, like just the same level, probably just all the time, and that's very interesting. That really is interesting.
yeah.
So how, on that note, how, I mean, what's the update in terms of how you? I know you're talking about how you feeling. Like how's your stomach feeling? I mean, any updates on that side? And you're still
Uh,
eating, and you're still eating the same. You're still eating pretty much carnivore after your carb binge in the mornings. You're still eating like carnivore in the
yeah. So
evenings and
like carnivore after 12, like
okay.
every single time I eat
There's the diet.
something. Yeah. Like
Carnivore
it's
after 12.
after
There we go.
12.
Yeah.
It's basically like protein based. I have had, so it was really weird the other day. Like I really wanted a Caesar salad.
Hmm.
Like that was the weirdest. And I love anchovies and I love like, there's something about a Caesar salad that just feels very like, or I don't know, like
Wholesome.
I have no, but
It's
I
got
just have no idea. Like it tastes almost like Italian. Like it's just very like,
Hmm.
well, I think it is Italian, but anyways, the point is that like, that was the weirdest thing. I
You're
think
missing
I
Europe. I've just you face the
probably
facts.
I do miss the fact that you can eat a croissant there and not want to like die. And then you eat one here and you're like, oh my God, like how
Yeah.
many different things are pumped into this? Because I phosphate on everything. But the most interesting thing actually is that Taylor got COVID.
Hmm.
And if you know, so Taylor and I both have not had COVID ever. Like we've never had it in our lives and we didn't do anything crazy. Like last weekend was our anniversary and we just went out to dinner and I think we like went to the grocery store. Like we didn't do anything. And he had like a fever and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I was like, I think we have like a COVID test somewhere in our house, like from like Europe. Like why don't you just like, do that to be safe? Because what happens is if you're pregnant, you don't want to have a fever. You don't want to get to the point where you have a fever because it can affect the fetus, right? Like if you have your body temperature that gets too high, that's why I
Hmm.
can't go in a sauna, like your body temperature can't get too high. So I had basically, he tested positive and I had to call my OB doctor and I said, hey, like, just so you know, like we have an upcoming appointment on Thursday. My husband just tested positive. I'm negative. Of course, that was the funniest part. I'm negative, even though I have a, compromised immune system.
Hmm.
um, and he told me basically what he would do is that he would prescribe me an antiviral. So an ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all the ones that are going to get flagged, I'm sure, in this YouTube video.
Hmm.
But he would do that because I can't take antibiotics. There's certain things I can't do, and you want to prevent it from those drugs. Those antivirals are going to prevent me from going into a full-blown fever. or going into the worst side effects of COVID. So that's what he would do. And I was like, oh, cool. That makes sense. I was like, sweet. I'll finally get to like try an antiviral or whatever. Right. Like, cool. But anyways, I test myself every day just as like a protocol, because there's a very short window of time that you can ask your doctor to prescribe you an antiviral when you do test positive, because you have to be so preventative and take it so soon in the beginning that you get COVID in order for it to lessen the blow. But Taylor was in bed with a fever for 3 days. Okay. And this is like, that's like more than I think my mom and my sister who have even had it. And like, I think we chalk it down for Taylor is that this is also when the stock market is crashing, the crypto market is crashing, right? Which directly affects his business. You know, he has a cortisol spike, you know, he has stress going on. And then in walks, you know, his exposure at like the right time. So I think that's why he was affected by it so poorly. And I was really surprised that he was affected like this much. Like, it's kind of, because you seem pretty surprised. Like, that's kind of crazy. 3 days down with a fever and body aches. Like, that's kind of, you know, intense, where Sean Baker has like the sniffles, you know?
But like you said, I mean, you just said it. I mean, I know Taylor well, and yeah, he's busy. I mean, things have been fucking crazy in the crypto and stock market. Like, it can be a confluence of so many different things that, yeah, it's probably your immune system is just compromised, and it's just going to find its way to sort of get at you when you are at your weakest. And that's how nature works. You know, it goes for the people that are weak. And not that I'm saying Taylor's weak, I'm saying he was weak in that state. But like, yeah, that's just what happens. We all we all go
Your
through
guard
stages.
is down, right? Like, your
We
guard is down, and then
we go
things
yeah. I mean, in 2019 when I got really sick, and like I said, I still don't entirely know what happened to me, but I my body got sick, but I was sick way before that. Like, in terms of issues with my family, a whole bunch of things were happening that I didn't see, and then it took me to get ill to really look back and be like, whoa, holy shit! Like, actually, a lot went on, and my body was just compromised. And yeah, I'm sure he's fine, but
he is
you can
now.
only
Yeah.
get you can only get better. You can only get stronger from that stuff, and you can only build up your immune system more. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but
Isn't it weird though that us now, like, we're like, oh, you got sick? What's going on? Should we go to therapy? Like, what's really, you know what I mean? Though it's kind of like, my thought is that it's like, there's something else. Like, when you're sick, it's like what you're saying. Like, it's not just point blank, like, I got exposed to a germ. It's like, no, like, something may have been happening. Like, you know, the major stress from crypto and stock market crash, and well, not crash, but well, pretty much there.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that's the crazy thing. And like, I've had a test every day. I'm negative. I feel great. I'm still working out in the morning and everything. And so he's kind of been like quarantined in the guest room. But the thing is like, I don't know how long you test positive for, because like, he did a test and it was like 6 days later yesterday, and he still tested positive. And I was like,
really?
oh,
Wow.
no.
Oh my
Yeah.
word.
So I don't know how long it's going to be, because we also have our Dutch friend, Jan, of course. He's coming out to visit Thursday next week. So we're like, okay, well, I know you're not going to be sick by then, but like, hopefully you're testing negative, because we're going to like a country concert. We're having a barbecue. We're taking him to like a country concert. Like the full
So jealous.
American, full American experience. Hopefully he likes country music, I guess. Probably not, but anyways, so yeah, so it's been like, it just goes to show, like, people are so different. Like, I have literally, Josh, I don't think, like, I feel like, I'm probably, knock on wood, I feel right now so good and so bulletproof, like, mentally. Like, if someone even came up to me and gave me like very horrible news, or like something that really stressed me out, I feel like I'd be able to like compartmentalize that because I need to, because I don't want to put stress on my baby,
Mm.
which is like super weird, but it's like, I just, everything's just rolling off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe that's not super healthy. I don't know, but like, I'm just not letting anything stress me out right now. And that's kind of like my, my mindset, you know?
Yeah, I think like the whole mother mentality just comes out of you eventually, and it's just a different game. It's crazy to think that you bring this new life into the world, and like I think just a new level takes place. That's just what I believe happens. It's like this whole new transfiguration takes place, and you probably gonna look back and be like, wow, like you're probably not going to recognize the Nicole before the baby, basically, is what I'm saying. Even though you're still carnivore and whatnot, you're probably going to be like, fuck, that's crazy.
I mean, here's the thing, Josh. I don't eat anywhere near as much steak as I did.
Mm.
And because I don't, that means Taylor doesn't. So he also thinks that he's like, I'm going back to like 3 steaks a day. I'm like, yeah, I can't afford that, but okay. But you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, so he also thinks the carnivore thing, because this is the one time that he's also let his guard down
Mm.
in terms of diet and not eating as much beef.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of having like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll eat half, like I can't eat a full 10-ounce steak in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. And like I have to eat it with something, like I want multiple things to eat at once. And like there was this one day that I don't know if it was a steak or what, but like I literally was like repulsed by it. Like something in my brain was just like it was just like it was like the eggs. I was uh, like
And that's
I don't
okay.
know.
That's
Yeah.
completely okay. It's like that's what I'm saying. That's clearly your body is just wanting something else, and that's completely okay. I was gonna add that I went to this. I was part of the media team for this CrossFit competition in London a
I
few weeks back.
saw.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Honestly, I was in my element, but I ate like shit. I truly, truly ate like shit. I had, so I was there for 4 days. It's probably the worst I've eaten in consecutive days for for a number of years. I can honestly say that.
So was
Like
this like my Memorial Day that I had when I was telling you
I
how
think it
I
was probably
okay.
equivalent, but I backed Taylor with what he was saying because I arrived on the Thursday. I got straight to work. We were setting up and stuff, and that evening, so I ate pretty much like every day I ate carnivore. I was the reverse of you. I would eat carnivore from morning until about 6 in the evening, and then I would have something weird after that, like
Yeah.
a pulled pork sandwich which they gave to us.
Don't even say
And
that. That sounds really good to me right
yeah,
now.
so we had one of those. We had like this gluten-free bread and stuff like that. And I actually feel okay. Let me explain. So when I had the shitty food, every time I had it, I felt like shit afterwards. Like
Yeah.
shit, my back started to hurt. I was feeling drowsy. I felt like I couldn't concentrate and whatnot. But throughout the weekend, I reflected and I thought to myself, I'm like, I actually, even though I felt like shit and all I want to do is get back to the way I was eating, I'm proud that this diet is so sustainable that it allows me to go off track like that. Because in the past, let me explain to you what Fat Josh would have done, or not even. This is like when I initially started losing weight and I was on this like fasting slash binge eating train. If I ate one like shitty meal, like a pulled pork sandwich on the Thursday, I would eat like shit from the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would just binge the
Yeah.
whole weekend because I thought, oh well, I've eaten a sandwich now. I
I've
can,
already opened the
yeah.
gate. I'm going to continue this.
That
Yeah.
was
I'm the
my
same
that
way.
was that's exactly what I would do. This time, however, the next morning I woke up. I had hotel sausage, eggs, bacon. In the for lunchtime, I had like a couple of burger patties. So even though I was having these like shitty evening meals, I was still keeping on a relatively balanced track, and I didn't binge. I didn't put on a ton of weight. So I was actually I was weirdly proud of myself that I could do that. I mean, not everyone will understand, but somebody who's sort of dealt with like food addiction,
Hmm.
Like it was a big thing to look back and be like, wow, like I actually had all that shitty food, but I'm fine now. I can just go straight to what I was doing. So it's
Yeah.
quite incredible to like reflect on that, you know?
Well, when I was telling you, like, I didn't go off the handles like I normally would. And I don't know if that's because I'm pregnant and I don't want a big amount of anything and I don't crave sweets,
Mm,
luckily. But that's kind of how I felt too, because yeah, like there would be carnivore things that I'm eating. But then there would be like gluten or other things kind of like
mm,
sprinkled in, but not
mm,
in excess, you know?
mm.
So, which is again, like you just said the food addiction thing. Like I was a binger. Like if I had one Oreo, I had to finish the whole pack in one sitting
Yeah.
and then I'd probably throw it up. But like,
Yeah,
you know,
and I also my hypothesis as well is it's the high protein breakfast and high protein lunch that mitigates the damage. So
mm, it curbs it. Okay.
I'm not necessarily saying that I'm more self-disciplined than I was, but it's just almost impossible to over binge when you've just had a big fatty breakfast, a lunch filled with
Yeah.
beef, and even though it's like McDonald's patties or whatever, it's still a lot of protein and fat. So that evening sort of like indulgence of bread was just like a treat, you know. It was just like, okay, I've had it, but I'm full now. There's no ways I can have more. Whereas, like you
Yeah.
said, when you go on those binge weekends where you're waking up for breakfast and you're having croissants, then you're in trouble. If you start doing that, you just go on another tangent, because then you having pizzas and for lunch, and then you having
Yeah.
sodas, and then it just gets
That's actually really funny that we had those experiences almost back to back and kind of realized the
Mm,
same thing
mm,
because I think that we had different experiences with food addiction. Um, but it's very similar because you kind of just go off the rails and you're like, oh, well, I'm off it right now. So
yeah,
I'm going to continue to eat like shit and like eat as much as I can because your brain. So it must mean that I think also like you're healing.
yeah.
We're healing.
It's like a
You know, we
drug.
don't lose
Honestly, it's a
that.
drug. Like it. The
Yeah.
only difference between, I mean, there's no difference between what food addiction is and like what cocaine addiction is or
Yeah.
honestly, there's no difference, because just instead of, it just depends what your addiction is, you know, whether it's porn or whatever. But for us, I agree with you. It's like, ooh, it's like once that Oreo packet's open, oh man, like fuck, just give me all of that. And it is, it's horrifying to think about
It
it, but
is.
it is an addiction. It is literally an addiction, and it's like you said, that was the best way to put it. It shows that some deep healing has taken place, going for a couple of years or months, especially going strict
Mhm.
carnivore, because it forces you, as we've spoken about many times before, it forces you to deal with your problems head on instead of stuffing your
Yeah.
face full with the comfort food, which is what I've been used to my whole life. You know, I've been used to, when I was sad when I was a kid, I'd go to McDonald's, have a Happy Meal, like
Yeah.
happy. Let's
Wait,
go
that's
to
like that's a
McDonald's.
double. Like you're like, I would have a happy meal to make me not. Wait, I just
Yeah.
want to say one thing because it is so true from like the people I've talked to. Like when you do eat carnivore or meat based, and that's like how you eat, it like forces you to have this self-awareness
Mm,
to then look inward. Like you're it's kind of like your brain is firing on all cylinders. So it wants to do some housework. It wants to look inward and be like, okay, well, you know, what else on the list can we fix? Okay, you have these toxic relationships going on. You know, you have some
mm,
things going on that you need to deal with because, you know, you react a certain way. Um, it really just forces you to look inward, which is just
mm.
so that is, I think, the best benefit that I have gotten from carnivore. There's been so many things, but the best benefit by far has been the being able to look inward and like have my brain function in like a normal way so I can actually do that.
Yeah. I,
Because
I,
I
I
told you I was
yeah.
dumb on the gluten. Like I was dumb. Like literally, like I still was thinking about that. Like we talked about this last
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
I was not smart. Like because I ate gluten. I was like, like,
It's
wait, what?
terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I felt, honestly, as soon as I ate the food, and like what Taylor was saying, it's not a case now of being obsessive about it. It's not a case of, there's a difference between obsession and self knowledge.
Yeah.
Let me see where I'm going with this. But obsession in the past, when I'd initially just lost all my weight, obsession would be, oh, I've had a little bit of gluten. Oh my fuck, like now I'm off the rails. It's just, we may as well just go. Whereas self knowledge now is listening to your body and actually realizing, hey, I actually do feel like shit. My joints are sore. It's actually just not even worth it. It's like, it's not even, that's where I'm at now. It's like, it's not even worth it to eat like shit now because I just
Mm-hmm.
don't like feeling like shit. It's not even a case of being obsessive. Like, people, I think that's the biggest misinterpretation people have sometimes about me is they think it's a form of obsessiveness, this sort of
Control.
diet, and it's actually really not. It's actually a form of self-respect, and I just don't enjoy feeling like absolute garbage. It's just that simple. Believe me, if I could eat, a, I love variety. If I could eat a ton of different food and bread at night, I would love to do that. But it just doesn't work for me. It really just
Yeah.
doesn't work. I hate to say it, it doesn't work. And anybody who's listening who has any doubts, like, that's the biggest thing it can give you is it can give you the benefit of self-knowledge and just
Yeah.
feeling good about yourself, if
Wait, I
anything.
actually love that, Josh. Because there is like this whole thing, this like anti-movement against like diet culture.
Mm,
And again, like there's a difference between eating super nutrient dense foods, right? That, sustain you and help, solve health issues and bring you back to who you are
mm, mm,
versus restricting calories, doing cardio 20 times a day and trying to become thin,
mm,
right? And like it depends what your goal is, right? Like
mm.
what you're looking to do. So there are some really toxic diet culture stuff out there, right? Like I
Yeah.
agree. But what you were saying is so important because like we're at the point where it's not about being thin. It's not about, like how I look. It's more like, hey, I feel good and I recognize, like you're saying, the self-awareness to be like, I feel good this way. And you know what, if I'm going to put poison in my body, right, then that means that I don't respect myself,
Mm,
right? Like you feel bad about yourself, you feel a certain way that you're going to like poison your body or do that. So it is the self-respect, which is, I haven't heard that,
mm.
but that is like spot on, like what this is about. This is about
Yeah.
self-respect. It's not about being thin.
And, and you made me think there because if somebody saw the way I do eat, it's the opposite of a fucking diet.
Yeah,
I
like it's
eat
not
a
restrictive at all.
shit load of food. Anybody who knows, like, I eat a lot of food for my size, and it's because I train a lot and I like feeling good. So there's no, it's restrictive, but it's not. It's restrictive in the sense where, yes, I only eat mainly animal-based products, but the amount is not restricted.
So here's the thing. Carnivore is narrow but non-restrictive.
Yeah, that's
So
a
it's
good
a
way to put it.
narrow categories, but it's not restrictive. It's probably like the least most
Yeah.
restrictive thing. People are like, "Oh my God, like how many calories should I eat a day?" And I'm like,
Mm,
"Wait, we're going back to calories?" I was like, "I just eat till I'm full." But also like
mm,
one thing I will say, Josh, is that I haven't gained any weight since my last thing since we spoke.
oh,
So
okay.
I've only gained 8 pounds during my pregnancy,
Mm,
which again is normal. I have like literally 25 pounds in total to gain. So I'm like, I'm not worried.
mm,
But I think too, like some people gain so much weight so early because they're kind of giving in to all these different indulgences, and like being like,
mm,
oh, I'm pregnant. Like I can eat whatever the hell I want. Like this is the
mm,
time. I'm gonna
mm,
go crazy. The gate's open. And for
exactly.
me, like I'm
Exactly.
like not really like feeling that because when
Mm,
I have done that, I feel so bad. And like, and then I feel bad because I'm like, dude, there's a human inside me that's like
mm,
getting glyphosate from like eating something shitty,
mm,
and like, I just wanted to touch on this, but we talked about how if you read enough pregnancy books, right, like they'll start contradicting each other. Or is
mm,
it like, hey, why is it okay to drink Diet Coke that has like aspartame in it, but it's not okay to drink raw milk?
mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like
mm.
there's so many hypocrisies going on with the pregnancy world. It's kind of crazy. I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to drink raw milk because of all the nutrients. Okay.
Mm.
Like I'm going to do this. I made the decision to do it. And like, but like but again, I'm the bad guy, but all the people that are eating tons of sugar, tons of,
Yeah.
wheat that's in glyphosate, all like the gluten and everything, and all the, harsh chemicals on nails, hair,
Mm,
skin, whatever. It's like, but I'm the bad person because I want nutrients from something that we've drank
mm,
since the beginning of humans, you know?
mm. Do you think, I mean, before we wrap up, do you think you will, during your pregnancy, do you think you'll ever go back to, like, how long do you think the stage will last? Will it be your whole pregnancy, or do you think you will go back to like full carnivore or ish before you're pregnant? Or do you think it's going to be like
Um,
this most of the time?
so
I'm
I'll
just
always,
curious.
so here's the thing. I'll always eat organic. Like I'll always eat the less pesticide route. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm very conscious about voting with my mouth, right?
Mm,
Like, even if I'm going to eat something, it's going to be very clear that this is organic. This was like a trusted brand. Like, do you know what I mean? Even if it is carbs, right?
mm,
I mean, rice, you can only say so much. I've kind of veered away from rice, as I mentioned to you, where it's now like toast with like lox on it and stuff.
mhm.
So rice is kind of like on the back burner for now.
Taking a back seat.
But like the thing is that I think I'm really close to transitioning back,
Okay.
right? So I think like I'm really close, but I will tell you, like, even if it is, because carbs to me, like they translate to sugar.
Mm.
Like I literally, like, this is so weird, but I literally can see like different deposits of cellulite appearing on my legs from eating these fucking carbs. Like I swear to God. And just because they process into sugar,
Mm,
right? Like,
mm,
and I just don't like that. But I think I'm really close because I've had the situation with like the sausage in the morning. I think I'm on the brink of being able to go
mm,
back to where I'm fully
mm.
carnivore. And if there is a treat or something in that, where like there is carbs involved or something, um, I'll go the route of it being organic and
Yeah.
a trusted brand and something that I'm not scared to put in my body. Like,
Yeah.
but again, I hope it ends soon because
I'm sure it
I think
will.
I'm getting burnt out on toast and lox, to be honest.
It's hard to I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. It's hard to go back to the way it's like one of the biggest concerns I had, or one of the biggest questions I had when I started carnivore, was I was like, is this sustainable? Like, can I really do this
It
for,
is.
and it really
All right.
is. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I know. I'm saying that was my biggest question,
Yeah.
because now I can't, and of course I adapt. Like, I mean, now like for dinner I had steak, some burgers, and I had some gherkins, pickles,
I don't know what that is.
pickles.
Oh, like,
We
what
call
the
them
heck
gherkins.
oh, okay.
Pickles. So I had some pickles, and I enjoyed it. It was nice, but it's not the main meal. It's just to have something crunchy with my meats, because but like you said, it is so sustainable, and it's like the carbs are not the main dish anymore. It's the complete opposite. You know, if I am
Yeah.
gonna have carbs, it's like dessert or a side thing or whatever. But it's certainly never ever ever. I don't think for the rest of my life I can happily say that with the way I'm eating now is like doable for the rest of my life. I don't think I'll ever go back to eating
Yeah.
a
It's like
normal.
protein based eating. It's like
It's
even when I'm eating
ridiculous.
carbs, I literally have to eat it with lox, or
Yeah.
else I feel like I'm just eating something with literally no nutritional
And you don't
value.
get
You
full.
know what I
You
mean?
just don't get full.
Yeah.
Like my friend gave me some sourdough bread a couple of weekends ago. I said to her I could have eaten maybe that whole loaf. I was like, if I
Yeah.
don't have protein with it, I will eat that whole loaf because it will
It's
not
literally like
fill. It won't fill me.
it's worthless. Like it's literally like to me, like that's the whole thing is like I'm trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna eat this for breakfast, or like I have some crackers to like, help my stomach. That's why I don't like the crackers, is because I'm
Mm.
not putting lox on cracker. Oh my God, that sounds really gross. Ew, sorry. That sounds really gross putting lox on crackers. But all I'm saying is that like I'm just trying, even if I do have to eat carbs, I'm trying to make sure that I'm eating it with protein, or else it's
Yeah.
kind of like, why are you doing like, I'm like,
Exactly.
what is the point of eating this? So I can go straight to my ass, like, and
Mm,
just turn into sugar. Like,
mm.
I'm really upset about that cellulite. Like really upset.
It'll go. It'll go.
No, I know. But one more thing I want to tell you. So the freakiest part I think about pregnancy is not actually giving birth. I
Mm,
think it's actually postpartum, because your normal cycle, like the 4 personalities I was telling you about that you have per month,
mm-hmm.
like those hormones and everything come back. And so that's why people have a very rough um postpartum, like you hear about postpartum depression,
Mm,
and like it can get pretty serious.
mm,
And you just have to make sure that's the time that I have to make sure to eat a lot of red meat
mm.
so that I'm getting all the nutrients, and I'm very carnivore at that time, because carnivore has helped mitigate me those 4 personalities and
Yeah.
my hormones when I'm not pregnant.
So that's, I mean, I'm very interested in that because hopefully one day they would have studies with people that have been a carnivore, and because a lot of the studies and a lot of the people that say this stuff are on shitty diets anyway. So it's like, how can I believe what they're saying? It's like, it'd be very interesting to see what the effects of carnivore is on pregnant women and how they feel afterwards and how quickly they get their vitality back or whatever. It's
Yeah,
going to be really interesting, I think, to see stuff like that in the future. Well, that's
I
if Bill
think.
Gates doesn't take over and we start eating bugs and
Yeah.
yeah, but
But I will say, like, how amazingly even keel I feel right now. Like, I already know it's going to be a bit of a bummer to not have this feeling. And so, like, now I kind of am like, now I can understand, because I didn't really understand the postpartum,
mm,
like, on an actual level where it's like, oh, you enjoyed the pregnancy, like the feeling of being pregnant so much that now you're sad because you're not pregnant and the baby's here. It's just a very different feeling.
mm-hmm,
But now I think of it more scientifically, that, oh, your hormones are like, oh yeah, I'm cruising, like I feel amazing, like
mm-hmm,
you're like a dude, and
mm,
then all of a sudden, like, you have the baby and all these hormones come back, and it's just like overload.
mm,
It's overload, and you're just like, okay, like I felt one way for 9 months, and now it's just changed.
yeah,
So it's now I understand, like, scientifically why people have the
mm.
postpartum. And I've listened to some people and they say just eat as much steak as you can and get as much vitamins as you can. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll just stick to carnivore. And
You'll be fine.
yeah,
You
carnivore solves most
yeah,
problems,
it
but I
will,
just I just don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
But yeah, well, cool.
Cool.
Anything else you want to throw in there, Josh?
No, this
To wrap
was
up this?
super super fun and yeah, I think there was a lot in it, but um it tied up really nicely, and I'm really happy to see how the magnesium and stuff has helped you certainly, and I think that's really really interesting, especially the ending part about how we've just touched on the food addiction, and I mean that's obviously close to our hearts, but yeah,
Mhm.
I think it was really cool. And on your side, anything to wrap up with?
No, I would just say, like, if you do ever feel depressed or have seasonal depression, I wish I knew about magnesium
Mm,
sooner.
mm,
So maybe it's a good time to take it during winter,
mm.
especially, and kind of up your magnesium supplement intake. And I'll have to link the study below
What
so
what
people can
brand
look it up.
what brand are you taking, by the way, before we finish? Do you know? Do you remember?
It's called Bliss. It's like made for females, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
not. It's just magnesium
And it's pure
glycinate.
it's pure glycinates. Is it always okay? Cool.
Yeah, it is. And I can link it. But I did one last thing. I got your magnesium spray, and I had a super tough, like, so Josh sprays magnesium like on his legs
Yeah.
and stuff. So he has
Did
like a
it
better
burn?
recovery.
Did it burn
Okay.
you?
No, 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 just listen.
Okay.
So I put it on after a workout, and then Taylor was like, oh, let's go to like the cafe down the street or whatever. So you can like get, like, I wanted like fresh orange juice, like
Mm-hmm.
actual like fresh pressed orange juice. And they're the only place that has it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I'm walking, he goes, oh my God, what's wrong with your legs? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, they're like bright, they're like white. He's like, did you get like chalk all over them or something? And I'm like, what are you
Oh,
talking
it's
about?
the
And I
yes, it's
and I
the
looked down, and it's just like all this white stuff on me. And then I also hadn't shaved my legs. And so it was like, just like, it was just like this layer of like, just, I looked like I had like a disease on my
Oh
legs or
no.
something, but I was totally laughing. Or like I walked through like a cocaine plant or something.
Yes.
I don't
Because
know,
it does
but
it does that. It leaves if you put
powder.
on it leaves it like a powderish, yeah.
And I
Okay.
put on too much too. So
Mm,
I kind of like I went kind of crazy
mm,
because I was like, ooh, I was so sore last time with this workout. Like, let me
yeah.
spray all over. And
Yeah.
I was laughing because I'm like walking around with like powder all over my legs, just like looking super weird. And like
Oh,
there were so many people out and about, and like you say hi to people. And anyway, but yeah, so if you get the magnesium spray, make sure you don't
you
go
warned.
walking around afterwards looking
No,
for trouble.
I've learned you have to have it. You have to put it on like preferably after you've showered in the evening, because when you're not gonna go out or do anything, that's when it's
Oh,
the
so you
best
like
time.
sleep in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that tonight
Definitely.
because
Yeah.
I definitely like, I'm still doing my weightlifting, Josh, and like I don't know why, but like sometimes I'm like limping around like I got something up my butt. Like I swear to God, like I'm like walking
It's
around like,
working.
okay. Well, awesome. Well, thanks
Cool.
everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe to our
Yeah.
channel, leave comments, questions, anything. Make sure Josh isn't spilling his water all over himself.
No,
But
notepad.
episode 17, we out.
Yeah.